Now, the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2026 was passed by the Nigerian Senate on February the 4th, 2026. This legislation repeals and reenacts the 2022 Act, introducing several pivotal shifts while also rejecting some of the more controversial proposals. Now, remember that the House of Representatives had already passed theirs. Now, in this new amendment by the Senate, BVAS now holds full legal authority, replacing old card readers. Timelines are halved. Early voting is mandatory for officials, and name-linked registration aims to curb fraud with 5 million naira fines. Mandatory electronic result transmission failed as the Senate retained INEC's discretion. Electronic IDs were also blocked. The physical PVC remains king, and proving election non-compliance still requires traditional oral evidence. A landmark reform now grants eligible inmates the right to vote. Furthermore, political parties must digitize their membership registers with photos and names to eliminate ghost voters during internal primaries. So remember, I introduced Peter Akah and Bukola. Peter is in the studio. Bukola joins us virtually. Let me start with, I saw you earlier. We saw you at the protest, but I won't start with, let me start with Ido. Ido, the Kimpact Development Initiative had made some recommendations to the National Assembly after the 2023 elections. What you're seeing now from what the House of Representatives passed and what the Senate is passing, does it align with what your organization recommended?
So what the House of Representatives passed aligns, and that truly aligns, but the Senate just have deviated totally from what the recommendation of our recommendation, not only our recommendation, even several other civil society organizations, professional bodies, and including political parties. So basically, what Nigerians are expecting from the Senate was just a total deviation when you look at what they passed. Most especially in terms of election results, management, to be specific, election result transmission in real time. And then you also look at reducing the timeline, which is not what is expected. And then thirdly, we also saw where they have to reduce the punishment for vote bias. So when you look at this, this was in contrary to what was submitted to them. This was contrary to their decision in what they agreed to in Lagos retreat, and this was also contrary to, from the feeler we got, to what they discussed at the executive session. So if you look at the House of Rep follow what was harmonized in Lagos, and they passed that as discussed and as advised by the committee of the House. But the what we have at the Senate, it just look like somebody somewhere just come up with another agenda and totally deviating from what the what was laid down and what the citizen wanted. And that is the reason citizens, civil society, everybody out today at the National Assembly asking them to do the right thing.
Peter, why do you think the Senate would do, as Ido described it, almost a total deviation? And some would say that what they did it's okay. I mean, registration must be name-linked to curb fraud, and 5 million naira for election fraud as a fine. It says timelines have been halved. Early voting is allowed. Mandatory. What's the other one now? I mean, eligible voters, inmates can also vote. I mean, isn't that something good?
Something good. I think the answer is clear. It is just mischief. When public office holders know that the only means of coming back is a compromised electoral process, where in a country where votes do not count, then there becomes a deliberate attempt at subverting the process and ensuring it remains crude. There is history to it. In 2023, the then INEC chairman received about 300 billion and said electronic technology will be the game changer. At the end, he said there was a glitch. Till date, nobody knows what caused the glitch. Somehow that person retired from INEC and has been recommended or even confirmed to become an ambassador. For more than 2 years, going to 3 years, the 10th Assembly has not been able to carry out an independent overhaul of that agency to know why do we not have further glitches. Is it not simple logic that if you spend so much or commit so much resources on one task, if it fails, there should be an audit? So the fact that the entire Senate is yet to be able to actualize or know exactly what caused the glitch means we are setting ourselves up for further glitches. And now the most important part of this electoral process is the process from voter registration to voting to transmission. And according to INEC themselves, the same Professor Mahmoud who wrote a position 21 paper that we need to reduce human interference, and that is why electronic technology became important. It is an idea of INEC, a project that they have carried out feasibility studies and said it is possible. But somehow, the National Assembly are the ones who are now making excuses for why it should not work.
Okay. Ido, as a development initiative, you work with different regulatory agencies. If an agency has done its own feasibility study and says this is possible, that agency is an agency set up by law, and it says what we think is possible. Why would anybody not allow that agency to implement a plan that itself has looked through and said it's workable and we can do this? I mean, it's like saying, if I wanted to paint the picture, hold on. It's like saying the Super Eagles have decided that they are going to play against Brazil and they will win. And this is the plan they are going to play with. And then NFF says, no, you cannot do that. You have to play this way. I mean, what's going on?
So, and that is where it becomes so confusing, and then you keep wondering what exactly is going on. The entire election technology being introduced, from smart card reader under Professor Jega to Beavers under Mahmoud Yakubu to IREF under Mahmoud Yakubu, was not the idea of any legislative houses. It was the ideal of the INEC. And don't forget, Beavers and IREF was not what was tested first in 2023 election. It started in Nasarawa 2019 by-election, then 2020 Edo and Ondo. It was used, and then we started using it to the extent that we use it in Ekiti and Osun 2022 before 2023. INEC knew they introduced this thing. So you keep wondering, if INEC say, look, we can do this thing, and then we can also transmit results electronically, why is it now that it is the National Assembly that is now saying, no, you can't do it, we don't have network? Now, 2023 election, was there any location out of over 176,000 polling units? Was there any location that there were reports that the Beavers did not work due to network issue? No. So what it means is that INEC has done their feasibility study. They know they can do it. And as a matter of fact, the decision of the Senate is not backed up by any data. So there's no data that is backing that up. Let me quickly tell you, even if the Senate are saying, look, we don't have internet. Before internet in this country, people have been using fax machine, and it's real time. You transfer through fax, real time, and they get it immediately. We observe US election. We observe Ghana election. US is still using fax to even transmit their result. In the District of Columbia, they use fax to transmit their results to the central collating point so that they get it real time. Now, in Ghana, they are still using fax. And we are not even saying, come and use fax, because that is the least you can use. Because if they keep talking about, oh, there is no network. Before network, are we not sending things from Nigeria real time too fast and you get it? So that is not an excuse. So INEC has come out to say, look, they can do this. Now, House of Representatives agree INEC can do it. They pass it. 360 legislators at the House of Representatives agreed. Then you come to the Senate, they are now beginning to doubt. Come on, something is fishy somewhere.
Mm.
They need to let INEC do their job. I think if you are putting things in the legislation, it is the regulatory body or INEC that should come out and say, look, what you are putting here, we don't think we can do it. We don't have capacity for it. Even if INEC say they don't have capacity for it, it is their responsibility to provide budgetary allocation to develop their capacity to be able to do it.
Okay.
But Nigeria 2026 in 21st century cannot go back and be talking about, no, we don't have internet, we won't be able to transmit
All right.
election in real.
Thank you, Bukola. Peter,
Mm.
the Senate president or the president of the Senate was quoted somewhere at an event where he said, why the hue and cry that the bill is still in the process? They're not done with the bill. It's not as if they've passed it already. So why is everybody screaming?
I think that the Senate president must do his best not to insult our collective intelligence as a people, because there are a lot of excesses that the 10th Senate, Nigeria has condoned from that Senate with his leadership. We still have a case of more than 210 trillion missing from NMPC with all the shenanigans that have been going on there. The current 10th Assembly is almost completely a rubber stamp. They are able to change an anthem in one day. If the president needs any loan to borrow money, even without accountability, he can get it in 5 minutes. For almost 3 years, we have been unable to get the electoral bill passed. So the Senate president is telling us that they went on holidays in December, resumed at the end of January. He came back and tried to pass a bill surreptitiously through the back door and then put the House on adjournment to resume at the end of February. Sir, we are in February 2026. Elections need to hold at least by February or March of 2027. So we are even almost late by this. So what exactly is the delay? And why exactly is it that Senator Abaribe was on the X space we held, and he stated clearly that what a majority of the senators had agreed on as the mandatory real-time transmission of result was not what the Senate president read. That the Senate president's statement of saying we are going back to the 2022 Act, which gave us glitches, was not the unanimous decision of the Senate.
Did you know there was, I think if I remember, there was also a motion that was moved by one of the senators asking that the word, instead of transmission, it should be transfer.
Transfer. Yes.
I mean, he's not. Why are you putting it on the Senate president's table?
I mean,
he's not the only one there. A lot of other senators were.
Yes, that is no. The bulk of the blame goes around. We have even told the members of the 10th Senate, the 109 of them, if you know that the Senate president has become a clog in a wheel and is trying to usurp the powers or subvert the will of the people, then you can go ahead and impeach the Senate president. If you know that the majority of you are doing the right thing and a few persons are trying to scuttle it, it was the Senate president who gathered and said we are going back and put the House on recess. He is the chairman or the president of the Senate, not just the president of the Senate National Assembly. He's also the president of the National Assembly. So he must be held accountable. As it is today, they have now reconvened as they have seen the pressure from Nigerians to come back. They are going to be meeting tomorrow. Of course, they are going to meet us at the entrance of that National Assembly. What we must do is that it gives Nigerians opportunity. Let us go back and see clause by clause what exactly is the Senate considering and what will be finally passed. It is very important to be done without mischief.
Thank you so much. We've been speaking with Peter Akah, electoral advocate. I actually put here human rights advocate, but electoral advocate, who joined me here in the studio. We have Bukola Idowu, team lead, Kimpact Development Initiative, who joined us virtually. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
I will wish you all well.